lot of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good. What day is it? Monday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, once again in studio, our good friend Bradley Hallman. And Brad, man, it's hot out there. Woo! Smoking hot.
It's already hot, like first thing in the morning.
No, I know. My on-the-water days are numbered now.
We're going today.
Like I said, they are numbered.
Wait, you guys are going fishing today?
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
How did
I
I
forgot.
get left out of
forgot
this?
that even today was happening. I just happened to wake up this morning early for some reason. You know those mornings where you just wake up and it's like 5:30 and you're laying in bed looking at the phone.
That's every
You
morning.
do this every day for yourself. Most people don't. And I was laying there and I was doing my stuff, going through my emails, checking my regular, and I went, "Oh, I'm supposed to be on BTL this morning." I jumped up, got in the shower, I got out, and I told my wife, I said, "Hey, I need kids too because Nemo's got to be home to watch the others because I got to take a boat because Mark and I are going to the lake."
Where are you going?
Dirty Bird.
Oh, you're going to Thunderbird.
Yep.
I've decided I'm going to start fishing the Wednesday nighters again.
Good for you.
Because I got nothing coming up. I need to get on the water.
Yeah.
You're going out to Thunderbird voluntarily?
Yeah, just for a few hours.
I also have a bone to pick with you.
Bradley doesn't know about this.
Jeffries, there's a discrepancy
No,
in how things went down on Texoma.
No.
So Jeffries went to Texoma yesterday.
No.
Go, Friday.
Yeah.
Smashed him.
On
Top.
4th of July weekend, you went to
Yes,
Texas.
on Friday.
not
Daylight
on the
to
3rd.
dark on Friday.
Dude, listen to this. Hang on, Matthew. I left here at 2 o'clock in the morning. Left my house at 2 o'clock in the morning. I got back at 11:30 p.m.
Oh, my gosh.
He
I
asked
was
me if I wanted to
beat.
go. I was like, no, not really. Friday,
here-
4th of July weekend, Texoma, 100 degrees,
Before
sunny.
he gets into the
You
controversy,
smashed on them.
well, I did for about an hour in the morning, and then it got really tough. And then here's what I did.
Striper.
Yeah, and then I went and bass fished for a little while because the lake is up, and I caught a couple. But here's what I did. I took a break. I took about a 2.5-hour break, went into town, bought a throw net for shad. Because
This
I
needed to be on video.
I wanted, because I knew how to throw a shad net, but it had been years. I mean years since I had thrown a shad net.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to pull into Walmart and buy one.
Okay.
So I went in, bought one, got me a sandwich, just kind of hung out. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go see if I can remember how to throw this 5-foot shad net.
Where's the GoPro when you need it?
Oh, dude, it was epic. I was like, I never missed it.
Like
you
riding a
did
bicycle.
Well? You did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, a long time ago, the striper guide showed me a trick that not too many people do. Do you know how to throw a shad net?
I can honestly say I do not.
How about you, Matt?
No.
Okay. The trick is when you spread it out and you've got the rope tied around your hand, and then you've got it draped over, and then you've got this piece right here in your left hand.
Sounds like he's describing 50 Shades of Grey. Continue.
No, what you need to do, wait till you get to this part here, is you leave a pretty drooping gap in it, and you take a piece of the rope that is connected to the weights and put it in your mouth.
Ah. So
Okay.
it's all the flavor. Yeah.
Oh,
All
you're
right.
putting the 5-footer in your mouth.
Yeah. So think of it. Can you picture it? Like I've got the part of the net in my mouth, and then I've got it out here. It's drooped real well. And then you just twirl it. And as you twirl it, you let it go from your mouth, and it makes a perfect circle. Dude, it was like I never forgot how to do it. So for about an hour, I just went around and caught shad with my shad net.
I'm very impressed.
because I wanted to. I wanted to make
Dude,
sure.
You don't realize how impressed I am. Like, I am extremely impressed. You need to bring that today. Can you catch
What's
them? Can you catch shad in the middle of the day, or does it have to be in the morning?
It has to be. I mean, I caught a few.
No, you've got the electronics to find them too.
I just want to see him throw the net.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can put it on video.
you've got
I'll
your
bring it. I
GoPro.
got the bucket. I got the red bucket.
right.
We'll bring it, and I'll show you how to do it.
Okay, I'm in. New YouTube idea.
I'll be. Yeah. I'm.
So anyway,
Miller's
back to the
supposed-
story.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey's calls. He's like, "Oh, I caught a giant." Oh, you also did it. You also broke another unwritten rule.
What's that?
I forgot. We'll get to there afterwards.
Okay.
So Jeffrey's, because he said, I caught him on a pencil popper. It was crazy.
It was
a top
crazy.
water bite. So then I get a Instagram message. Is it Michael from who's up there at Lucky Lure all the time, does the reel repair?
Yeah.
Sends me a message. Said Jeffrey's told me about that big striper he caught deep cranking. He ran into him at the gas station because he's got a place down there at Texoma. So I
Yeah.
got Jeffrey's telling me he caught it on a top water, and he's messaging me that he
crank,
caught it on
yeah.
deep cranking. So what's the truth, Jeffrey?
So I caught a 10-pounder on a pencil popper. I mean, you can go out there, the stuff's still rigged up on my boat. Okay? I couldn't take a picture of it because I was by myself. I mean, it was just chaos. So when I caught the 17-pounder on the crankbait, the buddy of mine that's a guy down there was still on the water because fishing was really, really tough. He was still on the water. Hey, Jerry, I think I may have caught my personal best.
second unwritten rule.
Okay? Can you take a picture for me?
So he goes over to a guide who has paying clients who's not catching
No,
them.
it was a bunch of
and is
kids.
saying,
They didn't care.
Look at these giants I'm catching. Will you take a picture of me of the fish that you're not catching?
Those kids were
Is
so
that not an
excited.
unwritten rule?
No. Those kids were so excited to see that fish. They're like,
They were excited to
they
see your
were.
fish.
They were. And I gave it to
And
them.
Billy was probably like,
Oh,
God,
if you gave it
this-
to
I
them,
gave it to 'em.
They probably like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 17 pounds. That's how much.
Are you kidding me?
that was a 17-pounder. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
big. Well, he's a big man. I mean, you could tell that's a big
Oh, my
striper.
God.
So
Gosh.
initially we thought it was 15 because I asked him, I go, man, how big is that? It's probably 15. I was like, well, I caught a 10-pounder earlier then.
So you got to experience the magic of what Texoma can be.
Yeah. So when he took the fish to clean them, because he had some other fish too, he weighed it and he sent me a text and said, hey, it was 17.
Wow.
That's a good one. Have you ever gotten into that in a tournament? I did that in a Bass Nation 3 years ago. I was, for some reason, decided to go over and fish down by the dam and had caught some good smallmouth cranking it on a top water or in practice, right?
Right.
And I get there and there's like 8 blue herons on this point, and I'm like, it's on. You can see the shad. And me and my co-angler, we made, I think, probably 7 casts each, and we had 7 striper each. And it took a half an hour, and you literally could not fish the spot. And they were all big ones, like big ones. I've never seen the big one, 8 to 10 pounders. How do you get around that? Have you ever experienced that?
They
out
don't
there?
usually stay long. So, like, if you'll leave. Now I'm not telling you that the bass won't feed with them. Because I'm telling you, some of the biggest largemouth I think I've ever seen in my life in a lake swimming was on Texoma. And I was up on one of those stump flats, and a big school of those giant striper came in, and I could visually see them. It was like 5 foot deep. And they were swirling around. I was catching them, and it wasn't a tournament. We were having fun. And I saw the stripers come up over this stump, and right when they did, this giant largemouth rolled with, I'm talking
like a 10?
over 12, 13.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Massive.
So they live with them year round.
Yeah.
You think?
A
The
17
big
pound.
one?
I don't think she lived with them. I think she lived on that stump flat. But I think when those stripers came in feeding, she was like, I'm feeding too.
Yeah.
Okay.
17 pounder in the summertime is unheard of. He told me that. He's like, that's a freak.
Yeah.
And I don't know, did Matt show you the picture of it? The
Yeah, he just showed it to me. It's unreal.
The belly on it was just massive. That thing was a feeding machine, eating machine,
Dude,
whatever you want to call it.
For a guy like yourself that's taken off from fishing for quite a few years, you've
Yeah.
had a nice comeback.
Oh,
this
it's been
year.
unreal
You've
this
caught
year,
a lot
man.
of fish, man.
He's
He
caught more
has.
than me.
Yeah.
He's caught them.
He's had more good days on the water than I have
He's
this
had
year.
some really good
100%.
days.
Yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy year. But I'm done, man. I'm getting the boat detailed. I'm done.
Why?
I'm just done. It's too hot.
We're going today.
I know we're going today,
You
but
said we were going next week.
in your boat,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
not in mine. I'm getting the boat detailed. I'm done till it cools off going out.
I get that. I get
Yeah, I was wore out. I mean, I really kind of overextended. I mean, that is
Obviously.
a long,
Obviously.
long.
It's a 22-hour day, Jeffrey.
Yeah, but I'm obsessed with catching fish on top and to catch those stripers. Jerry, the guy, told me, he goes, hey, man, if you want to hang around, he said, they're really getting after it in the evening right before, the sun sets. And I was like, okay. And then that's when I came up with the shad net idea.
Did you catch any on the shad?
Did I what?
Did you fish with the shad?
No.
Wait, you literally went out fun cast netting?
Yeah. Yeah, to make sure I knew how to do it.
I don't even know where to go with that.
I've always thought this. I think Texoma is the most dynamic and best lake. I mean, for me personally, I enjoy it. Everybody thinks that Grand Lake would be my favorite in Oklahoma, but Texoma is just a powerhouse. Has been. It's got both species, largemouth and smallmouth. It has bigger largemouth than any of the big tournament lakes that we have in the state. It's because it has the Floridas in it. It's a special place, and then like Mark said, when you get to the dog days of summer, you can still catch some stripers. I mean, there's lots there you can do.
So ask me this then: you hear about all this stuff. Amistad is one. All the lakes in the Carolinas, striper kill the bass population, right? Oh, we got striper in it, and the bass fishing, they're long, they're slender, it changes. Right. So Texoma has billions of striper, every size. I mean, you go out there and you can walk across the water on these striper, yet you can catch a 23, 24-pound mixed bag of largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass, and the bass population has gone up, and the size has over the past 10 years. So how do you explain that?
I don't know. We'd have to get Gene Gilliland on here to know. One thing Texoma has different than most places is that those stripers do naturally reproduce.
Yeah.
In most lakes, they have to be stocked. And
here's the other thing, too, Matt, is when you look probably the last 5-10 years, the water levels that have been at Texoma have been really, really, really good.
They have been. They've been
and it's got an enormous amount of cover. Like right now, I caught that 17-pounder, but one of the most amazing things for me this past weekend was I caught a 2-pound bass in 91-degree water in a foot. I was up in big glasses flipping a bunch of stuff that was still in the water because the lake was up, and I ended up catching a 2-pounder in 91-degree water.
Look at Jeffries.
Powerhouse.
He's flipping, he's bass fishing, he's topwater fishing, he's cast netting, he's showing up the guy.
Is there any
he's
other
doing a
lake
22-hour day,
on?
And then he comes back and he puts the boat up for a year.
So strong.
I'm done.
By himself.
Man.
He just hangs it up, drops the mic.
I called the detail guy this morning. Come out and detail it.
How much does that cost?
$200.
If that detail guy was smart, he would have just set up a stand right outside the weigh-in at Three Forks after the Open. Just hand his card out. He'd have got.
I'm just so impressed that he's had such a great year because it's been a long. Mark has fished more guys in the last 6 months than he probably has in the last 5 years put together.
You're probably right. Mm-hmm. But I think COVID had a lot to do with that, and the fact that we didn't have school and we didn't have classes, and basketball was reduced to 1 week. But I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and Brad, you had a lot to do with that, especially with the times that we went out to the places that we caught them, the places that we didn't catch them.
But you've been going out with lots of other people. You went with your principals, and but I think that's a prime example of what happened in our country this year with the sport of bass fishing. Is it brought a lot of new people, a lot of people that had gotten away from it back to the sport.
Yeah. All right. Good show today. We're gonna pick Bradley's brain on all kinds of stuff. Tomorrow, I have the show right now as TBA, Matt, and the reason that I have it at TBA is I'm expecting today for a story to break, hopefully. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And if the story does break, then we're going to try and have one of the individuals that was involved in the decision that was made that is going to be announced.
Just about scheduling?
Yeah.
Because as of now,
we haven't heard anything.
The guys are still getting ready for 3 Elite Series tournaments back to back in New York. You're still getting ready for the Bassmaster Open coming up in less than a month on Oneida.
I know. And as you continue to see these numbers go up and up and up, it really, really makes me think on whether or not they're going to be able to pull this off. And if they do pull it off, my just thinking is if they're going to let people come into this state and do what they do with this, I think it's like an athlete exception or something like that. These guys are going to have to get tested while they're there. All right? Because all these athletes that are taking place in these areas, they're being tested all the time.
Give me an example of some type of athletics that are taking place.
Well, like spring training. Yeah. You've got the deal with the NBA going on in Orlando. You've got... What else do you have? You have the NHL that's taking place.
I understand the Yankees in New York City, but I mean,
Yeah.
what else is going on in the state of New York?
Well, you
With
got
the
just a
athletic-wise?
bunch of other bunch of other athletics, training and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Soccer and
Okay.
There's Olympic
Baseball
stuff going on, or track and field,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I mean, there are other things, but these athletes are having to be tested all the time.
What would it be? A COVID? Who knows? But a COVID test when they come into the state to check it, and then every morning at the boat ramp a temperature check or something.
Probably. But what happens? See, here's a scenario. All right, and I thought of this when I was driving back from Texoma, and I had all that windshield time. If they do get something done, okay, and a guy is all right and he performs well, he has a good event at the first one, which is Cayuga, right? Is that right? I think it's Cayuga.
I'd have to pull up the.
And then the next one is it.
There's 3 stops in New
Anyway,
York.
I
Let's
think the
just
first
leave it
one
at
is okay. So he has a great stop, first stop. Then all of a sudden he stops at a restaurant or whatever, and he eats, and he's not wearing a mask or whatever, and he gets the COVID-19, even though he may be asymptomatic, whatever it is.
Right.
Now his test is positive, and he's quarantined for 14 days. His season's over, done, because of what New York is probably going to mandate these athletes to go through as they move around from each territory. So now you put in an element that is very, very challenging for these guys. You're almost in a bubble. You don't want to do anything. You want to have people gas up your boat for you, and you're just self-quarantined in this bubble for 3 weeks because you cannot take a chance in getting this thing during those 3 stops. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, what do you do? And I've said on this show numerous times, I know for a fact they have a contingency plan in place.
Would it be every athlete from every state, or is it just athletes from certain states that only have
No, I
to
think it's
abide?
everybody now.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Cayuga, St. Lawrence, Champlain.
Yeah, I think it's everybody now.
And I'm also interested in what they'll do with the Canada thing on St. Lawrence, and they can cross state lines in Champlain too. But the Canada thing, I've actually spoke to an Elite Series pro who's like, man, if we can't go across the border in Canada to fish on the St. Lawrence River, that massively changes my game plan because I've been there 3 times before, and I don't think I've weighed in a fish that didn't come from Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
And that,
that's
that
big,
probably is not going to happen.
especially once you get up there towards the mouth of the river. And I've talked to guys and have had messages from guys who have said, hey, it's Canadians going over into the United States, getting escorted back to Canada, and Americans going over the Canadian side, getting escorted back to America.
So not going to happen.
So I ask you, Bradley.
Yes, sir.
All right, as a former Elite Series professional,
Yep.
mentally, would you rather just go, look, New York is great. I'd love to go to those 3 stops at New York.
Well, he's got it in August 6th through 8th on Oneida for the second Eastern
I know.
Open.
I haven't even gotten there yet, Matt. Listen to what I'm saying. This is
The
what I'm asking
logistics
you.
are different between the 2 tournaments.
Right.
I have 2 different opinions on that.
Right. This is what I'm asking you. With only few events have taken place on the Elite Series right now,
Yep.
and 3 very, very critical events
Yep.
taking place in New York, you as an angler, would you not want to not take any chances if by chance that you were to get the COVID-19, even though you might be asymptomatic, to go to an area where you are not going to be required to have these tests, but still take all the precautions to where an outside factor is not going to be a factor in where you place as far as making the Classic and the Angler of the Year points and all that. You wouldn't have that 14-day period where you'd have to be quarantined.
So are you asking me as an angler would I prefer?
Yeah, would you rather
change venues?
go to Alabama, go to Texas,
Okay.
go to somewhere? I don't know where, because I don't know where they could even go the way things are blowing
So
up.
2 things here. Would I, as the angler, and that's the only concern, I would say that yes, most anglers probably would say yes to that. How would they not? There's less to contend with.
Mm-hmm.
As an organization and everything that they have planned and everything that's in place that
Yeah.
has to go through to compete in that, at least there's some benefits to this. What is there, 80 guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 85, I think.
85. So it's limited to that. We could do away with not have to do marshals somehow. We could do
Yeah.
something. So we've got a small group of guys. As long as it is the same for everyone, and everyone's through the same system. The fact that it's 3 weeks in a row, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're back to back to back. So,
Right.
hey, these guys haven't been fishing. They're just like myself. They haven't been able to work. They want to be able to compete and get some of this down on paper, so we have some points and stuff to go off of by the end of the year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all for it as long as it's fair for everyone, even if it restricts us all from going to Canada to catch fish. If it changes and the weights drop, then the weights drop. But still, it's still the same for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be game with that. And the fear of catching something between here, and here.
Yeah.
I mean, quite honestly, you're with the same group of guys. So if you stay with, say, Matt and I and whoever, there's three of us, we're probably going to be together at all three events. So as long as we're just gas station
Quarantine, basically.
Yeah.
In the bubble.
Yeah, and stay in the bubble and do what you're supposed to do. You know,
Yeah.
wash your hands, wear your mask in public, do the things that you should do. You should be pretty safe.
Get it done 21 days.
Yeah.
Get it done 21 days and come home.
I hope they can pull it off. But more importantly, I hope something doesn't happen that has a dramatic impact on somebody's season because of the situation that they're dealing with.
The thing is when all this becomes for the organizations and the planning, this is when
Yeah.
it becomes a problem. Is when it becomes political. And it looks bad that you're there politically
The optics.
from the outsides, the
Yeah.
optics of it, or perhaps just the local governments having a problem with some of the issues with you being in town. And if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, dude, 3 in a row. I mean, I could go to the state of Texas and play 3 of them real quick.
But Texas is having all kinds of issues too.
Texas having issues with the flare up of
COVID,
the virus,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But they're not having issues with shutting anything down.
No.
Who's making these? Is this a Elo deal? Like, is he the one behind the scenes that's trying to put Eric Lopez, who coordinates a lot of the
I'm
event
sure
staff
he's
and
got a
stuff
huge
for-
part in it, but I think this is a management decision and a
Yeah.
decision that is made with the help of the authorities that are trying to get these events to their community anyway.
This would definitely be a year you would not have wanted Eric Lopez's job. No. Not
Elo,
interested.
no. And he works his tail off and does
Scoot in just a little, bro.
just
You're out of our little bubble.
an unbelievable
There you
job.
go.
So,
I like
yeah,
shaking
you're right.
your mic. I like to shake your mic. If I should
that's
move this
fine.
table just a little, your mic moves.
That's fine.
So that's kind of the scoop. All right, let's go with the open route now. You're headed up there, Bradley.
Yeah, the open is different, and what I mean by that is in logistics, because then in the open, you have to bring the field size is 200 boats instead of 80 boats.
With co-anglers, so you're looking
With
at
co-anglers, it's
400 people.
boats
It's a lot
instead
of people.
It's a lot. The logistics are different. It's very hard to do that. You know, I mean, that's where it changes. That's where you have a much larger impact on the community itself. So, I mean, you could have possibly a positive impact with the economy, right?
Mm-hmm. You got an economy that's been down. You're bringing a bunch
Yeah.
of people
There's
in.
lots of
Everyone's
positives there.
following the rules and the safety, and boom, you bring a bunch of you, infuse the economy with money.
I just,
or
you know, the logistics are just different. I mean, with me, if I could change that, and it's just one. So they had 3 in a row, boom, 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 with the opens.
Yeah.
You just had one in the state of New York. I might try to work out something.
but
with
you haven't
those
heard
cities.
anything. They haven't sent an email.
Well, actually, I talked to Chris Bose, but I didn't even call him about that. I felt so bad. I don't ever call. I'm not the squeaky wheel. Guys at Bass know this. I called Chris about a different total, but right before I called him, the second before I called him, there was this text that the New York deal had been the deadline had changed on the money. Anyway, I called at a bad time, and Chris answered, and I was like, hey, I am not calling about that text. We talked a little bit, and he said the same thing. They're working on these athlete, what'd you call it, Mark?
Exemptions.
Exemptions, yeah.
And working with the host city, and we'd know more. They sent everyone an email and said, postpone the deadline for 2 more weeks for deposit or payments due and balances due, and we're still in the
I mean, until we have any news, I guess that's all we can say about it.
They're going to do, we know this for sure, they're going to do whatever is the best thing for the anglers, for the sponsors, for the company, for the communities. I mean, there are so many more people affected by this decision than just the core group.
I think everyone feels the same that
Yeah.
once we started getting a couple tournaments on our belts, right? FLW had one. We had the Open at the River, and I think that everyone was excited, like, hey, maybe the horse is out of the barn. You know what I mean?
Here's a very important point on the YouTube comments, and I haven't posted any of it, but there have been quite a few of false positives on this test. Now, can you imagine somebody getting a false positive and get quarantined for 14 days and their season's over? I mean, that would be a disaster.
Now we're getting into hypothetical
I
situations.
know. I mean, he's going. You're going
down a wormhole.
You're going down the worst case scenario, which I get.
Yeah.
I get. That's where you
Well,
go.
I didn't even think about it until he posted that comment. I was like, man, he's got a great point there. That would be just a tragic event for somebody that, has to sit out 14 days now.
No, what if he wanted to fish sick?
You can't.
Can't.
That'd be a liability.
There's
You'd be
no
like,
one on the water with you. You're in
you'd
the
be
middle of
like
nowhere.
liable.
How is a boat in the middle of the lake not quarantined by yourself?
Because you're
Yeah, I don't think the state would allow you to do that.
or
Brad.
the organization.
Are you going to give the fish?
I just say you can't. Would you
That
not
hasn't
agree
been
though that
proven.
at the Arkansas River, from check-in,
I mean, if we're going extremes here, because that's where he's
but
at.
check-in, launch, fishing, weigh in, loading your boat, and gone. The way they had that set up with the COVID-19 measures and the flights every 10 minutes, and the way it was pretty impressive as far as maintaining your social distance, getting in and out, and being on your way without ever. I mean, I really didn't ever come in contact with anybody.
That's correct.
The entire time. Like they had it for the first time from the YouTube live meeting the night before to all of that. I mean,
100%.
they had it dialed in 100%.
They did.
So
Well-
it's not like a cluster when that's done. I mean,
And that's how I feel that we should carry on with our lives right now at this point. I mean, as long as we're doing the things that we should, just like you're talking about, social distancing and do the right things and washing your hands.
who knows?
And we just can't go in. I mean, we've got to get these tournaments going.
Well, every other activity, sport, youth, adult, senior bowl, everything's going through it too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just fish; it's just because
Yeah.
we're involved with. So I mean,
100%.
I mean,
Yeah.
and technically, we don't have to get it going. I mean, look at the stuff that's been canceled. They canceled the College World Series. They canceled the NCAA March Madness. They've canceled a lot of stuff. There's nothing that says this is going to get going again. I mean, it kind of kicked up. I'm just saying.
And he's got a
Kind of
point.
scary. I mean, you could look back at 2020 and be like, "Damn, that's a lost season." who knows? I mean, that's happened to a bunch of kids. I mean,
I think that there's a fear that that's out there. I
mean,
think that reality exists.
and I guess it doesn't really do any good to talk about it until it actually happens.
Yeah.
So as of now, we're fishing.
It
3
sounds
Elite
like it's
Series and
closer right
Bassmaster
now
Open.
on the horizon than it could just be an announcement tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Who knows?
I mean, that's what. Hopefully, we will get an announcement tomorrow, and then we can
Positive and no.
address.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Hopefully,
Let's talk about
hopefully
fishing.
they're
Let's
fishing.
talk about
they're
Enough
good
with
to
the
go. All right.
hypotheticals.
All right. The other thing is on Friday, what is it? Stage number 5 at Sturgeon Bay. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Is that the last one?
It's the last one.
So the angler of the year will be determined.
I believe that is correct. So practice begins on Wednesday, and they kick things off on Friday on that, so we have that going too. All right, the other thing I want to get into, Bradley, with you in studio, I admitted it. I'm freaking done. I am getting the boat detailed. I'm done until it cools off. But there's a lot of people out there across the country, including a lot of people here. Well, I take that back. I am fishing one more tournament with Ed Barton in his boat on the river
Attaboy.
next week. So... So, yeah, I will have one more time, but not my boat.
You sure do seem to find the way in the boat with the right people, does he not?
He
In
does.
the right place.
Yeah, but me and Ed have fished the old man's thing
I know.
for a long
I
time.
know.
Anyway, there are a lot of people out there that still like to fish during these scorching hot days.
Yeah.
All right. Does this time of the year get stereotyped too much when it comes to patterns and methods and baits and lures? Or are there some things out there that you can really try that people might go, well, you can't do that in the summertime. The water temp's 92 degrees.
Well,
What are your thoughts?
Give me an example of some things that you think are stereotyped that you cannot do in the summertime.
That you cannot do. Throw a spinnerbait.
Okay. Another one.
Let's see here.
Jerkbait.
Jerkbait.
Okay. The jerkbait is not a good question for Hallman.
Well, you have.
But the spinnerbait I can answer.
Yeah.
Power fish shallow is basically what Jeffries is saying.
Yeah.
Arkansas River, where you're going with Ed,
Yeah.
you can throw a spinnerbait and catch them and win a tournament with
No,
it.
that's true. And a swim jig.
And a swim jig.
Yeah.
Spinnerbait in the summer at Lake Thunderbird, actually a trick that one of Larry Bryant showed me many years ago at Grand Lake when I was in my learning days. He took me to a brush pile, a good one, and he said, here it is, throw in there, throw anything you want in there, catch every fish you can catch in there. Because we'd had the spinnerbait argument about how it was done after a certain time of the year. It's about this time of year in July. I fired my worm in there, I put my big crankbait in there, did all this stuff. Caught some fish out of it.
Huh.
Probably spent 15 minutes on this pile. It wasn't a big pile.
Yeah.
Got done. He said, okay, you done? I said, yeah. He said, all right, let me show you. Fires his half-ounce spinnerbait out there. Lets it go to the bottom. It's probably 15 foot deep. Picks it up, reels it, gets it, starts climbing the pile. He gives it the old kick, comes over the backside, and goes, oh, there she is. Biggest fish. I'd caught 4 out of that pile. Biggest one was probably 2.5 pounds. Yeah, he caught a 5.
Wow.
Yep. Just the difference of that blade, it was something that was different in that pile, and so absolutely. That was just a half-ounce. Imagine what you can
Anything particular about the blades?
No.
In the summertime?
No, it was a willow with Colorado in front of it. That was it. Just like the regular tandem that you see all the time. He wasn't doing anything fancy. The only thing fancy he did was he never put a spinnerbait down. That's what Larry Brown did fancy.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys, he could throw it year round. But was there a use for it? Basically he's showing a fish in a place, a bait that they're not used to seeing that time of year.
Okay.
The jerk bait, I don't know, man.
We've seen Van Dam do it.
Well, that's Van Dam. I can barely catch him on a jerk bait even when it's in season. It's just like not my strength at all. I've caught some fish on it, no doubt. Won a tournament one day with jerk bait in my hand, but
yeah,
in the spring.
Yeah. Why does everybody go big in the summer when it comes to plastics instead of small?
Why does everyone go big with plastics in the summer instead of go small?
Yeah.
They go big with everything in the summer, if you notice.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
It has to do with the water temperature being warm, which makes their metabolism at the highest that it's possibly going to be all year long. And they eat a lot. They eat a lot in the summer. It's just that they're burning so much energy because their metabolism's so cranked up that they don't gain weight so much eating, but they're definitely chewing.
Now,
I have a theory on that.
All right, hang on. I want to add to this because it'll probably tie into what you're going to say.
The other part of what I know where he's headed to with this is that the longer we get in the year, everything's growing too. It gets larger and larger and larger. Like in the spring, we have the fry, and then as we get through the season, things progress.
Now we're headed.
All right, what is it, Matthew?
You're talking about water displacement and how much area that the bait takes up. So when you're talking about summertime, you're typically talking about fish that are deeper. The big baits that you're throwing, your 1-ounce jigs, your spoons, your worms, your 10XDs, are in deeper water. Therefore, there's more area around it. You throw a 12-inch worm in 8 inches of water, and it's taking up the entire water column. Therefore, it's going to be a much more aggressive, intrusive bait. You're typically fishing shallower earlier in the year. As you get deeper, that same 12-inch worm that takes up 2/3 of the water column in April where you're fishing, you're now fishing at over 20 feet of water. So you're creating a profile of a bait that is now not as intimidating and more appetizing and easier to find in a brush pile in deeper water because you have a lot more area around it.
What do you think of that one from the young grasshopper?
It makes perfect sense.
He didn't read that one out of some
that's
Bassmaster magazine.
good. That's good stuff.
That's all.
Which brings me to another point. There was a comment.
Though.
There was a comment on one of the YouTube pages, Matthew, that said, "I don't give you enough credit about your knowledge" or something like that. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm going to look right into the camera. I have given props to this guy 20,000 times. All right, on his knowledge. I've said on this show, nobody works harder than this guy right here. All right, in trying to improve his game. So I don't know where that came from at all. Where'd that come from? Because I like to beat you up every now and then when you're wrong?
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. I'm not sure where to go with that. But, that's just my theory. I've heard,
good
it's
stuff.
not completely original. It actually, the first time I'd kind of heard about that was I did an article for Western Bass back in 2008, 2009 with Grant Goldbeck.
I can see the displacement, but big spinnerbaits work in the spring, and we're throwing them in a foot of water. This is the other thing that's kind of off was like we throw the most god-awful, brightest colors in pre-spawn, right? Like when the water's color, it's when you see bright chartreuse and white, even in clear water situations, right? Big spinnerbaits in clear water situations. You think you can take that big spinnerbait and go get bit at Lake 10 Killer right now at the bottom end of the lake? It'd be very difficult, correct? You go out there in January or February with that big thing, and you could catch 20-pound bag with it.
Well, yeah, you're also talking with they're going to eat a bigger bait because if they can, it's the same reason why an Alabama rig works because that fish. It's not consciously thinking this, but it's going to be able to achieve maximum rate of success based on the energy that it's exerting, right?
Yep.
So you're not going to be exerting a lot of energy in the winter. Your metabolism is going to be slow, so you want to make sure that when you do burn energy that it's for a reason. It's for successful. It's the same reason why like it doesn't make sense. Like if you watch like the stuff, the Naked and Afraid and the Days Alone, it doesn't make sense if you burn 15,000 calories for a 5,000 calorie meal, you're still losing. So a big bait like that is you're fishing it slower, so it's going to be easier to target for that fish, and it knows that its exertion is that the meal is going to be more than what it's exerting, which is why in Alabama rig they attack it, in my opinion, is because your success rate's going to be higher with the 5 baits rolling by than it is with a single bait. So if you're going to burn that, you might as well have an 80% chance of getting something than a 50% chance of getting something, which is why you're seeing fish swim and eat in Alabama rig, because they know they're going to get a reward for it.
The Alabama rig was a perfect example of a bait that came out that matched the hatch.
Yeah.
And the bait balls in that time of year get so tight.
But they're attacking the bait balls more than the single fish
100%.
because they have a higher chance of meeting and exceeding the caloric intake than what they're burning.
That's what
it's the same
separated
thing with the big baits. In my opinion, is why the big bait's in the colder water.
So, do you ever downsize in the summertime?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We all do. One of the best spots, and I'll show you today, I told you last year, at Thunderbird, which is not a Clearwater lake. These guys have heard us talk about it a lot because it's just the one we have around here. I found a spot that was really special out there that I was catching multiple 7-pounders off of in July with a drop shot. And, I had a robo worm. That's what I was catching them with, was a robo worm. So, I mean, it works even here. So there are times that the downsize of the drop shot or the shaky head work really well here in the summertime.
Lost baits in the summertime that you just don't hear of anymore.
Lost baits in the summertime that you just don't hear of.
I mean, I have one that comes to mind. Ray Scheid and Tim Carroll used to kick our butts on it all the time.
There's 2 names I'm used to being kicked by.
Yeah, throwing a Carolina rig.
Yes, absolutely.
Carolina rig. But what was on that Carolina rig that you just don't hear of anymore?
Lizard?
No.
French fry.
Yeah, ring fry.
Ring fry, the Lake Fork ring
fry.
fry.
Remember that?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Big, thick, very, very, I mean, they used to just pound everybody in the summertime, June, July tournaments on that deep Carolina rig, and with that ring fry, and you just don't see it anymore.
But I guarantee they still eat it.
Yeah. I still got a ton of them upstairs.
I was a big football jig guy for a long time. That was
in the summertime?
mainstay. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I loved it, yeah.
So what do you use for a trailer on your football jig?
I used 2 different deals. In the beginning, I used just the twin tail grub at Grand, and then it progressed to where Larry Ray and I came up with this deal because we're looking for bigger fish after you start learning how some of those fish relate up there and where they're at for tournaments. I wanted bigger bites, bigger bait. Started putting a full-size brush hog on the back of a jig, and we called it the train because it looked like a locomotive coming down the rock. But, dude, it got some really nice bites, and we won some tournaments with it, too.
Like the big brush hog, not a baby brush hog.
The full-size one,
not the junior,
not trimming anything.
Just that would have to feel like a wet towel going through the water when you drag it. You get it in the brush and just shake it, and boom.
Off the rock ledges at Grand Lake.
Yeah. Did you ever use the mop jig?
Yeah, I bought a bunch of mops. I bought them out probably. I never had much success. That jig, for whatever reason, did not translate for me personally from the blueback herring lakes to the Ozark system. It did not translate for me. Have I had other guys tell me they catch them on them? Yes. For me personally, I couldn't get it done. I have no faith in that.
You ever thrown it, Matt?
Yeah, I hate it.
How come? Too slow?
No, I just don't get it. It seems to me like in this part of the country, you're more likely to trim and go tighter with your jig skirt than you are to go the opposite way.
Those herring lakes, they like it.
Yeah, I know, but I don't understand why they like it in the herring.
It was
the only time I've ever been in the boat where it was caught was we were fishing a Thunderbird Championship. Drew Smith had a mop jig, and we were in the chute, and he caught a bunch on a mop jig.
Really?
He just had a little, the mop jig that they used, they put a little bitty trailer on it, which is weird. But I think he just had a little speed crawl on the back of it, and he was catching them on the mop. But, I mean, it makes sense if you think about it with that, because if you ever see a crayfish, I mean, their tentacles and stuff go way longer and bigger than you think.
They're bigger and longer in the summer.
I don't know.
I thought you were going to teach me something.
No. Would you agree, though? Like when you see a crayfish like underwater. Like look at how long their antennas and tentacles and
I need
stuff
to spend
are.
more time digging up crayfish, I think, at the lake. I have a lot of fishermen tell me what they always look like, and I'm always wondering, well, where in the world, other than the ones I see in my live well or a couple that are poking out of one's throat.
I send you pictures of crawfish like every tournament.
You do?
Do I not?
Yeah.
I sent you one at Raybird. I sent you one at the river.
I'm just over here
Look
punching
how good
buttons
that
there.
worked out for us.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm over here.
It didn't matter.
okay.
What mattered is you had to get somewhere where no one else was. I was actually thinking this morning. I woke up. Remember, I told you I didn't even know that BTL was. This is how bad my brain is, dude. This morning, I remembered a backwater that literally had a sand berm on it that was the size of about this room. So this room right here. But it was only about a foot high, and it came off the main river. And I was wondering if I hit that at 70. Would I clear it? Would I get off on the other side? But the other side I could get back on pad, but I don't know. I probably could have got up to maybe 30 miles an hour to get out of there. Maybe. Would I have gotten out going 30 miles an hour across the same burn?
But it was above the water?
It's above the water.
Wow.
Like
All
I
right.
didn't even think about it. I mean, I didn't try it, but I did think about it when I was there, and I woke up this morning thinking about it. Still trying to figure out how to catch them at the last tournament.
Wow. All right. Let's take a break. Come back. We will take some questions for Bradley on the instant feedback and on the YouTube comments. Everybody stay tuned here on a Monday.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Lutz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage.
Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency.
Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
Hey everybody, Tide Faircloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
All right, we are back on a Monday with our special guest, Bradley Hallman, in studio. And we're going to get to some questions. If you have a question for Brad, throw it out on the instant feedback. If you're watching on BassZone.com, if you're watching on YouTube, just throw it in the comments and we will post it up. And see if Bradley has an answer for your question. I do want to remind everybody on Wednesday, it is back. Matt and I are going to be doing the Sunline Hotline show. There is no live events taking place, so we will have another very entertaining Sunline Hotline show on Wednesday. And do you have any other stuff, Matt, you're going to give away? Did you give away the hat?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have some. We'll give something away.
He gave it away. Yeah, we'll figure out something. And a couple spools of Sunline. It is the Sunline Hotline show.
I've never listened to one of those yet today. I want to be involved in one of those. I keep hearing
It's
how
pretty
much
good.
fun they are.
Hey, well, now with this new software, here's what we can do. If you want to be involved with it on Wednesday, you can do it from your house.
Really?
I send you a link, and you're part of the show.
We got to do that sometime for sure.
All right, if you can't do it on Wednesday, we'll do it some other time. Here's the other thing we're going to do on the Sunline Hotline show. If you want to be on the Sunline Hotline show with video and audio and ask your question, all you have to do is send me an email, mark@basszone.com, and I will send you the link. And then you will go into the queue, and I will let you know when it's your turn to be on the show. So a new feature to the Sunline Hotline. And then the show tomorrow, I don't know. We'll wait and see on tomorrow. See if we get an announcement. What are you looking at me for, Matthew?
I'm not. That's just a weird deal that we're waiting to.
What?
It's just as sad.
It is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do? What do you got? How'd you like to be fishing in it? That's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's got to be somewhat stressful.
Oh, yeah.
I saw an interesting interview. You need to watch this.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, and you can go online and watch it. It was an interview with Rafael Nadal,
tennis
player on 60 Minutes last night. And he talked about the mental game and talked about how I believe it was more or less the fear of failing actually motivates him.
Wow.
In other words, he doesn't get stressed out by worrying about losing rather than focusing on his game. He is all about the positive. Right? The other thing that blew me away from the interview, they asked the question, how many tennis rackets have you broke? He said 0. Not a single racket. Smashed it in frustration. He goes, and you know why? He goes, that shows mental weakness. That shows weakness. That shows that you are afraid
that would not
of
work
yourself.
That would not work for Panger and I.
It's different. In individual sports, it's very apparent that different styles work for different people.
Absolutely.
So while he might be able to internalize and keep it on a level playing field, you have a John McEnroe or someone who smashes.
John Daly.
I mean, if they don't smash a racket and chuck a club, it boils up and the rest of their round or the rest of their match is done. They exert that energy, get that crap out of their system, and then they can get back to level. So Rafa might not be good once his attitude or whatever spikes, it gets crazy high. He might not be good at leveling it, whereas someone else might be able to.
All right, here, I'm going to add something to that, though. You know what else he said?
What's that?
About the racket smashing? He said, my parents would never allow that to happen. He said, ever. He said, when I was a youth player, he said, there was discipline. It was very strict. My parents would have never allowed me or accepted me smashing a racket.
I'm still with Matt on this deal. I think it's a personality difference. I think some people, if he smashes that racket and loses composure, then it makes him play worse and feel worse throughout the day. Whereas McEnroe would, it helps him calm. Once he's done that, he's at a better place than he was before.
Do you have a story over your years on the tour, over your years on the
smashing rods?
Yeah, I did one. We talked about that once on this show. Well, you guys at one point had asked me if I'd ever broke a rod, and I did. I broke one.
Yeah, but you don't have to break anything. But just a time when it was not going well, you expressed it, and then it went well.
That's really the time that I really just remember, and it was just frustrating. It was at Falcon when we were down there, and everybody was, you could go catch 25 pounds, and you didn't have them. It was just stupid, the freak show that they went on off down there, And it was frustrating, and it was very easy to get bit and catch fish. And I was, 12 pounding a day, and by the second day of it, I had a big crankbait tied on, and I reared back to fire, and you fire that sucker, and it gets about, 20 yards out there, and the line breaks, and the crankbait keeps going, and just frustration built up. And I broke the rod, and then when I was done, I still had I'd thrown it in the bottom of the boat, and the reel was laying. I was like, I didn't even want it because I just took it and threw it in the lake,
Well, it was disposable.
I just didn't want any of it.
Okay, so you've won 2 tour events, Costa. Have you ever had frustrating moments in any of those tournaments that you won? Or is it just smooth sailing in it?
No, there's definitely frustrating moments in them too. But I mean, you don't just completely lose it though. Over, that's really the worst that I've ever been. Just frustration set in. But dude, I felt better. It made me feel like there was, does that make sense? Like I was calmer.
Some people, that's how you control your emotions.
Right. I'm not saying that it's a daily thing, but yeah, I mean,
I would like for you to watch that and give me your thoughts on it. And it's not that long. It's like 10 minutes.
We'll do.
I think everybody's different. Yeah. Everybody's different. Look at Ike. He goes crazy every day. He's in the boat.
Yeah. All right, here. Let's start posting some of these. Can you read that, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your non-tournament personal best? Where on what? Thanks, bud.
Non-tournament personal best. I wonder if Punfish is talking about 5 fish, or what's he talking about there?
Yeah, just your personal best fish.
Individual fish.
Man, it's really not that great. I've caught a couple that I felt like were 10, but I don't honestly know. A couple of them I caught during practice. Do what?
Your chair keeps sinking.
I know it's you. You just
push it up. Push it up.
I'm tiny over here.
And he keeps getting lower.
Sorry, man.
Do you want me to go get that chair?
I'm good.
No, because it's too hard to get in. I'm sorry.
So I don't know.
Like
close to 10. I've caught a couple of nice fish that were in practice that I accidentally, just didn't know. You stick a fish and then there's people around, so you just kind of slip it out of the water and slip it back in. I had one at Rayburn that was really big once years ago. So I'm just going to guess 10. I don't know. And personal best, I mean, if it was 5 fish, I would have no idea. Huh. My best 5 in a tournament was 30, 32, 33, something like that. 32 something. 32
Falcon?
something. It was an elite series. Actually, you and I were together, staying together.
Was that Amistad?
It was Santee Cooper, day 1.
Oh, okay.
And I had one close to 10 in that bag too.
Yeah.
Sight fished her.
Yeah. All right, here, next one. If you're fishing a new river, where do you start first?
A new river, where do I start first? A lot of it's just going to be with time of year. In springtime, I'm going to be in a backwater somewhere protected, and if it's closer this time of year, then I'm going to start out on the main river. With the current.
Did you not do a video on this?
Might have.
I do have one. I have a river breakdown on how to break down a river on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, go watch that. It's really good.
Springtime spawn. It's really good. It's one of my best videos.
He's like on there with the video. I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
I do an overlay, and I'm on Google Earth and mapping and stuff with avionics, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
Go in there and look at it.
All right. How many local bass events should a guy fish before he starts to pursue a career in bass fishing? And should a guy win X amount first? Is it more sponsor driven?
It's a loaded question and a million different answers for a lot there. For some guys, it's a lifetime. You can spend a lifetime fishing local tournaments, and some guys are like Polinick, and it's not very many. So for everyone, it's different on the amount of local tournaments. And then sponsor driven, I think a lot of guys worry too much about the sponsorship part of it, and when you really need to be getting the game and sport of fishing first. You got to be able to catch them, and then you got to be able to market. So you got to be able to do both those, but fishing's going to matter most up front and first, and then your marketing skills.
When did you know?
Secondary.
When did you know? When it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm
Dude,
taking
I grew
it.
up fishing against Jason Christie and Terry Butcher on a
Right.
daily basis. I don't know. I mean, once we were all about 30 years old, I think we all kind of looked at each other and saw what each other were doing a lot, at open levels and coastal levels. And
No, before
And
that,
Butcher
like
was
that
the
made
first
you
one on
to the
tour.
coastal level, the open and coastal level. Like when was it? Do you remember the first time you were like, I'm going to fish the opens. I'm going to fish a strand.
do I remember the first time I thought I was going to fish them?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, I remember fishing them, but I mean, I wasn't that.
Were you ready to when you
No,
started fishing?
Lord,
it?
no.
What do you
No.
mean by ready to? That's what he says. He wants to know, what are you ready? What are you ready? I mean, you just.
Oh, when your interest just piques you to go fish at a regional level, to fish opens or coastas, and you financially can do it, and your family's supportive, and you've got the truck and the vehicle to travel, 500 to 800 miles and spend a week and.
But when do you feel confident that you're not going to get your ass kicked? That's kind of the
Well,
question.
you're missing the whole point. It doesn't matter if you get your ass kicked or not. What matters is your wife's not going to leave. You're not going to lose your job because you've got some type of place that you work that you can't. I mean, it's not worth losing your life over to fish. I mean, that's what we see guys do.
When you first started, I'm trying to get to it. When you first started fishing, did you think you could be competitive at that level, or did you just want to fish the opens or coastas, or did you go in saying I can be competitive at the opens or coastas right off the bat? I mean, was there a moment when you were like, okay, I'm not just here because I'm here and I can be here?
I don't think there's a single person that just shows up and goes, well, I know I can. Unless it's someone that just spent a tremendous amount of time at home before they ventured out. But even then, those guys, I mean, I know some of those guys, some really good local fishermen in Texas or really good local fishermen in Oklahoma. They're like, hey, man, do you think I could, You're like, well, yeah, hell yeah, you can. I mean, I know you can. But even they have doubt. And those are guys that have stayed, home for their entire life. And, yeah, they can.
So out of a 200 boat field, just as a whole, how many guys go out the first day of the first year of the season having doubt if they can compete at that level?
Oh, I would say most of them. Almost all of them. Right? I mean, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're talking about new guys, right? Or
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, just like yourself, you're a good example, I mean, you're always questioning what you do and don't know, and I'm always telling you, look, you're going to be fine. Like it's all different levels. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. I mean, there's guys that I know that really aren't that experienced that do really well in the opens for 2 or 3 years. I mean, we see it year after year, right?
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think that.
How long did it take you before the doubt was gone? Before you went into the tournament with no doubt, I know what I'm doing. I got a chance to win this one. I don't have a chance to win this one, but I know what I'm doing. There's no doubt.
So when do you get to the point that you know what you're doing?
I'm at or above this level. When was it for you?
It took a long time, but
like years, months, tournament.
Years.
Like
no,
how many?
It takes years. It takes years, even at the regional level. It took years at the regional level, and then maybe a year or two at the national level, and then come back at the regional level and feel like, okay, I fish at the national level. I know I can fish here for I know at least know what I'm doing.
Big difference going from the national back to the regional. Like the regional when it's the biggest thing, but after you fish the elite series or the tour for a couple years and go back down to a coaster or an open, do you notice? I mean, do you have more confidence? Do you notice? Is it easier? Like, boy, I used to be really tough at this. Now it's a little bit easier.
Dude, this is a great question. This is a great question. Guys used to ask me this all the time, and I mean this. And I am not lying about this. Guys used to ask me and say, well, what's the difference fishing the opens and fishing on the elite series? It's like when you talk to guys that play professional football, what's the difference between the NFL and what's the difference in college football and the NFL? It is as wide as the Grand Canyon. That's how wide that gap is. That gap was too wide. That was why you saw Bass make some adjustments to do because the gap was so massive that it was hard for guys who didn't know, who hadn't played that game at the national level to come in and compete. Dude, it's massive. Guys will be like, well, what's the difference? Well, here's the big difference that I noticed. At the opens, at the meeting, the night of the meeting, everyone's excited and fired up, and they're all going to catch them. They've all shucking off fish and gotten bit, and they're all going to catch them. You go to the Elite Series meeting, ain't nobody had a bite all damn week. They only know there's a bass in here. It's the worst place I've ever been in my entire life, and we're a falcon. And they can't catch them. What's wrong with this place? All I've heard is how great it is. There's no fish in here. Day one of the tournament, you come to the weigh-in. Big difference.
Yeah.
Open guys, they're kind of down and out. Man, it was windy. It was cloudy. The weather changed. I don't know. They didn't bite. They weren't where they were. I don't know what's wrong. You come to the weigh-in at the Elite Series, and everybody's smiling. Holy cow, man, they just bit like sharks. I don't know. I got 25. I got 30. I got 29. I got 28. And then the guy that's really complaining is the guy that's got 19 pounds. He's like, man, I really thought I caught him. And I'm in like 60th place with 19 pounds. It's tough.
Yeah.
So, the gap was massive. Massive.
All right, here. Let me throw this one up. And I think in my mind, I know what it is, but we'll see. Right? If you had to choose one bait technique for the Ozarks during the heat of the summer, what would it be?
Oh, mine's going to be a football jig.
I was close. You know what I thought he was going to say, Matt?
LBJ?
Yeah.
Does LBJ work in the summer? A heavier one?
Yeah, I would say that it works. You know, it just doesn't get heavy enough, and it's just a smaller profile. Like I say, a lot of times we're going for a larger profile. You know, I'll probably get away from the LBJ some in the summer. I'm not saying that it completely would come off the deck, but the football jig would definitely outplay it. I mean, in my rotation anyway.
When was the last time you were on? I was thinking of this the other day. When was the last time you were on like a legit football jig bite? Like on Grant, like I used to just remember I'd have like 3 on the front deck and they'd be all the exact same on 17-pound test, and it'd just be like,
I've been to the Ozarks in the summer,
dude, I'm just throwing a football head. And I'd have like a dozen of them, and I'd rig them all up the night before, or pinchers on. And I'm like, dude, it's been like 6 years since I was on that bike.
If I'd have been with him on Friday at Texoma, when it got slow and he's talking about how that's where we're out, I done.
Yeah.
I've got some places there we can catch them with it. Good.
Nice. Yeah, it was hot, man. Ooh.
Yeah.
Super hot. All right, here's an interesting question. Let me.
I like the cue up.
Yeah. What does Bradley think about Matt's one-arm hook set?
You know, we've actually talked about that. Matt did not realize that he had that until he started recording himself with the GoPro. Isn't that correct? In the conversation,
100%.
you were like, dude, I didn't even know I did that. And he asked me about it, and we talked about it. Hey, he's a fisher. He doesn't lose fish, so, you know, doesn't matter. I've seen some guys, and I'm not saying that you have, like, really bad mechanics, but I've seen some really poor mechanics out of some really strong professional fishermen. I'm talking strong as they come, and their mechanics are not that great.
You know what I'm doing now that's driving me nuts when I go back and look?
What's that?
So I'll switch, reel on the right-hand side. So if it's close, I can flip, but I will pitch with my right hand, right? So the reel's on the right hand. I will then engage the reel, like underneath the reel, either with my left or my right.
Okay.
And then I will work the bait with my right hand until I get a bite, which I will then transfer to the left hand, drop the right hand, and set the hook one-handed with the left hand.
I've seen that.
There's all sorts of crap that can go wrong in that. I don't even know I'm doing it. I mean, dude, I'm focused in that in the tournament. I'm not thinking about it's like hockey. You're not thinking about skating. It's not.
I knew exactly. This guy talked about that. I knew exactly. And we've had this conversation that he didn't even realize he was doing that until he started videoing. And I don't think that you're missing fish because of it. It kind of goes back to, we've talked about this too, about the right hand and left hand flipping. I think that it's massive, not only flipping, to be able to use both hands while fishing. And I can honestly say, I will sit here on this in front of the world and say I'm 45 years old, and I am just now becoming proficient with my left hand, which should have happened 20 years ago. It's taken me a long time to get to where I can, and I should still even be better than what I am. That's a big thing guys can work on. But with that being said, the best trick casters in the world, all these things do not matter in the sport of tournament fishing. It's played up here. I've seen it time and time again with some of the best in the game. I've watched them. There's a couple of those guys, when I watch them fish docks, they're tempting, and they're actually catching fish. It's a crime scene to watch them do it. It is. But dude, they catch them, so I mean, it's the decisions that they're making on when, where, and how. So
CSI on the water right there. Crime scene investigation. Jeez. Wow. All right. Michael wants to know, Bradley, did you ever fish as a co-angler?
I did not, and should have. Did not and should have. We all look back and had things we wish we'd do different. There's definitely some things that I would have done different. I think everybody just wants in the boat, right? They want their boat. Matt's kind of was like this a little bit. I know you fished as a co-angler a little bit, but
I fished as a co-angler a lot. Just ask the guys in the Assumption Bass Club. It was from the time I was 14 until 17.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking like BFL.
Oh, no, I never fished any of that level. Right. Those guys, everyone would be like, people would be celebrating that they didn't draw me. It was like the biggest thing before. I had my 3 tackle boxes there, my embroidered Ranger jacket, my 8. Yeah, I fished as a co-angler a lot, but then I didn't after I was, in college. I fished as a co-angler. I fished with Chip.
There's huge advantages to it.
Yeah, massive. But you cannot fish only as a co-angler. Here's I'm going to say this. I'm going to probably upset some people on this. I don't think you can be a good all-around tournament fisherman if you only fish as a co-angler.
Oh, I thought you were going to say one different word, and I was going to.
If you only fish as a co-angler, you can be an incredible fisherman you can be very successful as a co-angler, but that transition between the decision making, and we talk about how mental this is, it all comes down to the decision making. Now you're making decisions, but the different decisions you're making between bait switching angles based on reacting to what your boater's doing, completely different ball game once you get to the front of the boat.
Well, yeah, and finding fish.
That's what I'm saying. Do you agree with that statement?
I do agree with that statement. I do. But with that being said, what I see in this sport is some of the best guys coming up, and has been this way for a while, have spent
a
lot of time.
Scott Martin.
Justin Lucas spent a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so these guys, not only did they fish as co-anglers, like it wasn't just BFLs, man. They fished as co-anglers at the top level, so they fished with the best anglers in the world. Going back to the confidence deal, when you were asking about it at a regional level, when were you like, okay, I'm good enough to be here or whatever, where you weren't worried about it? Dude, think about if you were Lucas and you spent all that time with all these different pro anglers. Lucas doesn't wonder how good so-and-so is. He's been in the boat with so many of them, he knows what he's really up against. Whereas a guy like me, I've never really been in a boat with anybody, so I don't know. I don't know how good is what I am and what I'm not up against. I mean, sometimes it scares me when I crawl in the boat with some of my friends like Scott. And you spend 5 or 6 hours with a guy like him or Jason Christie, and it's, dude, there's a reason why those guys have got all the plaques they've got.
Yeah, but then don't they go into certain tournaments and they're sitting there going, damn, 100%. I've been in the boat with Brad Hallman with that little brown jig and with that stuff on the Ozarks, and man, how do I compete against Brad? I've been in the boat and seen how he freaking breaks down rock.
I've heard those same guys come in and at night they're like, I hadn't caught a fish in 3 days, dude. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to have to go fish the tournament tomorrow, and I, honest to God, am on nothing. Now, a lot of times that turns out being one of their best tournaments, but yeah, I've heard some of the best in the world say those exact things.
One of the reasons I say that is I've spent time in the back of the boat with other guys when I was younger, and then like fun fishing now on grass lakes. And I'm like, oh, I got the grass figured out. But the thing is, those guys are taking me to where they are in the grass. And then when it's my turn with no help to try to figure out fish on grass lakes, it's petrifying. It's like, oh my God, this is so easy. Like they're somewhere here, and I don't know how to find them.
I remember getting after you at Amistad about that when we were down there a couple of years ago, and you were like, I'm not fishing the grass. You were like avoiding and I was like, dude, they're easy to catch.
That's what I'm saying.
You just need to get in there. But it had you psyched out.
The difference from the front and the back. Yeah. I mean, in the back, yeah, sure, I can catch grass. Well, I've got someone who's taking me to where they are in it. And then in the front, you're looking and you're like, okay, here's a 2,000 acre area of grass. Let's find the tiny point that a guy could just carry me to and be like, oh, I can, rip a trap out of it. I can take an Alabama rig, throw a drop shot in it. But it's so much different when you're just like, look out there and you're like, oh, damn, they're somewhere in here. I got to figure out how to find them.
Bradley,
Brian knew. That's one how we could not mention him.
Yeah. If you would have fished it as a co-angler when you were young in the old Central Pro-Ams, you would have learned how to throw a jerkbait.
I would have. Hey, that is a great example of something.
Well, that's how I learned, because think about it. I spent multiple days in the boat with Jimmy and Jackie Davis.
Yeah.
And and the things that you learn really from what Matt is talking about the decisions and the structure and how they were throwing that jerkbait was priceless.
Priceless.
As a co-angler.
I may have told this story on this before, but that Central Pro-Am was an example of one time I did in the wintertime. I went with you and stayed with you and Wes and fished as a co-angler.
Yeah.
You were fishing as a boater.
Yeah.
And it was in the wintertime. That's why I went up there. Do you remember? And I drew Jim Akins. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I crawled in his boat that morning with one rod in my hand and no tackle.
Yeah.
Swear to God. He picked me up on the dock. Have you ever picked up a co-angler with one rod in his hand? No tackle, no one rod.
No.
Just a bag.
I had a bag of jigs in my pocket.
How proficient were you at the jig at that time? Like, was it your jam, or
I was starting to, yes, I had started to learn and knew what it was. I mean, I was running with Wes Endicott.
Yeah.
Wes is extremely good to it too, and Mark. Wes was even jealous. He was like, oh my God. So I went with it. Dude, I basically just sat with a notepad all day long and just drilled that man.
Yeah.
I literally put the rod down and would stand on the front deck and just ask him questions. He had a 21 or 22 pound bag, a smallmouth with an LBJ.
On what lake?
Table Rock.
Yeah.
It was impressive, dude.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
I missed that, man. That was just so many guys, and we've talked about it on the show, so many guys professionally have come out of that.
Co-angler's a great deal.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in a tournament if you take like the 6 best guys with an LBJ on an Ozark lake. You all put in $500, and then you go have an LBJ turn. It's the only bait you can use. I know they do that with some big swim baits.
Yeah.
But that would be cool.
That would be
You
cool.
could have a swim jig only tournament.
Get
LBJ.
Gail Julian to sponsor it and throw in a little bit.
Who would you say best 5 in the Ozarks little on that finesse jig?
He would know is
Akins,
Endicott, Hibden,
Davis brothers,
Jimmy and Jackie.
Hibdens.
No, not so much.
I don't know why I've gone blank. Starts with an S. Short guy runs a they all ran nitros up there. He was a guide up there too. Great guy. Really
Yeah.
good fisherman.
Those are the ones off
Stacey
off
King?
the top. No.
He's more.
Yeah. I would say those are the big 4. Jimmy and Jackie.
Are there any new school?
The LBJ guys?
Yeah. Like younger guys that are into it? I mean, every time you talk about it, it's like 80s and 90s guys. And early, you know
I just
what I
don't
mean?
think
Just
the
guys
young
who have
guys
been doing
throw
it.
it. Do they, Brad?
Well, I'll tell you this: the fish haven't eaten it like they
used to. Yeah.
They haven't?
They have not.
Because of how they're set up? Because they see them? What do you think the deal is?
I think it's fishing, and fishing changes.
Really?
But they are not eating it the same as they once did.
That's
Now, with that
interesting.
being said, some of the successes that I had with it, big successes, is I took it out of the Ozarks. And I got it to work in TVAs and other places
Yeah.
certain times of the year, and I shined
Yeah.
with it. I mean, I almost won a FLW by 1 ounce for
Yeah.
$100,000 with that thing in 2009.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break, come back, more questions, and then we'll wrap things up here on a Monday. Everybody stay tuned.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, I mean, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks. Why? Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
That's why it's hard.
All right, we are back wrapping up a Monday here on BTL. We had quite the interesting conversation during the break there, of which I think both Bradley and Matt want to jump into the discussion of the thumbs down guy.
This is actually a topic that I've been wanting to touch on YouTube or somewhere at some point. And Matt obviously has a different opinion on this than I do. I'm always wondering, Castledine and I are always talking about the thumbs down guy. You know, you put out a video and there's 300 thumbs up and there's 2 thumbs down, and you're like, 2 guys out of 300. Okay.
They're unhappy.
Maybe they're not.
We think the thumbs down guy is just unhappy about life in general.
Yeah.
I don't.
You have experience with the thumbs down.
Yeah, maybe you play the guitar and you see Bass Talk Live and you click on it and you're like, look at these idiots talking about fishing. Thumbs down. There's a perfectly good explanation for it.
He claimed that you just admitted you did 7 thumbs down just last week.
Yeah, well, here's a scenario on this. So I had never given a thumbs down before.
You gave 7 in 1 week and you never
No,
given
I
one
gave
before?
7 in an hour.
Oh my God.
So I'm at the farm, right? And Kinder's stepdad is he's a farm guy. Like, he does let's go do the cows, the fencing and all this. I mean, I can mow the yard with a push mower and I can help. So, but I don't feel comfortable asking for oh, hey, this broke, because he's one of those we'll figure out how the hell to fix it. Right. So he's not there. So I go, this all happened in about an hour span. I go to mow a little area of the yard, run out of gas can's empty, have to go in, fill the gas can up, come back, mower's vapor locked, won't start now because I had run it out of gas. Had to take it apart, air filter, get the fuel in there. It's 110 degrees out, get it done. Go to get the weed eater then. It's an electric weed eater. Can't figure out how to put the damn battery in the electric weed eater.
This is how you become thumbs down guy.
This is how I became thumbs down guy.
Okay.
It's hot as hell. This was supposed to be a 30-minute, just, hey, mow this real quick and get out of here. Trim it up. So then I get the weed eater going. First thing I do is I hit a stump and my cord's gone. Now it's 4-letter word time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I weed eated at home. I know how to change this. Well, it's a double spool weed eater thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, crap. Don't know how to do the double spool. So I Google the brand of the weed eater and the double spool. And there's 6 or 7 videos on this. And every single one of them breezes past the most important part of how to put the line on the damn spool. So I'll do it, and then the spool will shoot off the line, and I've got 6 feet, and it's here, and it's 100 degrees. It's now 2.5 hours in. I'm watching it, and literally these people are talking about, you simply click it in and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you don't simply click it in, because I just tried to do that. And, of course, their video, they're trying to hold it by themselves, or they'll start the video after the part that I don't know how to do. Where
so you're breaking tennis rackets.
They're just
thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down.
Winding it on the spool, talking about how simple it is. There was one I was like, okay, this is it. And then it was like a very nice garden lady doing it. I mean, she had a very viable channel, but her camera jogged at the absolute perfect time where it's putting the line into the spool. And I'm like, and then I'm like, no, not helpful. Thumbs down. Go to the next one. Okay, no, not helpful. Thumbs down. I have sweat dripping off my nose, giving thumbs down. Eventually, I ended up in the comments section where someone else was like, this is not helpful at all. And then someone explained something, and then I got it done. But I gave 6 thumbs down to Weed Eater Spool self-help intro YouTube videos. And I felt better. It helped relieve stress when I was like, I am letting this individual know that this was not a helpful video to me.
Did you get the lawn mowed?
Got it 100% fixed.
Okay.
Got it. We got gas. We got the
Did you
lawnmower
feel better
stuff.
after you gave him the thumbs
Oh,
down?
I did. It gives a little bit of emotional release afterwards.
Well,
that's what it's there
There's
for.
Thumbs down guy right there.
And we've got 2 so far. I just always enjoy looking at the thumbs down. We talk about it. Look, I'm not saying that if something, it's not, sucks. I'm all about it too. I mean, like, thumbs down. I'm all for bad, criticism. Like if something's not good or it's not right, I'm all for that. Like on my YouTube channel, if I put something out that's terrible, dude, get on there and tell me it's terrible. I'm not going to delete it.
No.
Like I'm a grown man. Like I probably had the thought in the back of my mind, dude, this is not very good when I let it go and shouldn't have let it go, But yeah, I like all that kind of stuff.
You can't
criticism. But just to like not like something there almost should be. But like you said, for every thumbs up, if you're going to take those and say, then you have to take with it.
Now, I have posted videos, and there's a thumbs down in the first 5 minutes after it goes live.
Yes.
Well, I've got a 25-minute video. You just arbitrarily gave it a thumbs down because you don't like me.
Correct.
That's fine. No big deal. But I had a hockey coach back in juniors tell me, we started out we were an inaugural team. We started out a season, we won like 14 in a row. We were like, hell yeah. In the Quad Cities, everyone's writing articles, message boards. Oh, the Express are killing it. Then we lose 6 in a row. Now they're all like, oh, they suck. What's going on with them and stuff? He came and he said, listen, you can't listen to the good and be like, oh, we're the greatest, and then just dismiss the bad. Like, you guys lost 6 in a row. There's something wrong with us, just like there was something good at us. So you have to look at a thumbs up and thumbs down as arbitrary. You can't be like the thumbs down people are idiots and the thumbs up people are right.
I'm not saying that they're idiots. I'm saying that I think a lot of them are just thumbs down people in life in general. I think they're thumbs down at the McDonald's drive-thru. I think they're thumbs down at work. I think they're thumbs down at the office. I think that they're just thumbs down in life. That's what I think.
But I'm telling you, those people with the weed eater spools deserved a thumbs down.
Let me ask you guys this. He's funny. He's cracking me up. Do you ever, social media-wise, ever just get so frustrated with something, be it in the bass fishing world or whatever, that you would sit down and write basically a thesis and throw it out there? Have you ever done that?
No.
Matt?
You asking this for yourself?
No.
I don't. I haven't. You do. You read.
Yeah,
stuff
but
that you'll-
it has to get to a certain point, though.
Yeah.
It really does.
No, I mean, I'll answer emails and things.
But
I
you
mean,
don't put it out on social media.
No, the
way.
biggest thing that I wrote the thesis about was why I kept the net in the net scabbard. And I gotten a couple emails, and I sat down and I wrote like a 1,000-word essay on why I keep the net in the net deal. And the guy that
I told you it was a bad idea the first time I saw it on
I
video.
know, Jeff.
Like, dude, that's terrible. Get
Yeah.
that thing out of there.
I know.
But I had my list of reasons.
And they were bad.
They were thumbs down reasons.
They were thumbs down. So tell me, an angler, why would an angler put anything out publicly as a thesis it's an opinion, right? I mean,
yeah, it's more of an editorial piece,
but it's still an opinion. So
it is.
It's going to be based on opinion. So
yeah, you don't see it that often. Sometimes you do, but when it comes to the fishing aspect of it, it's more, product pushing and tips and techniques and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Why are we? And when somebody does come out with a thesis or opinion piece, it's
usually torn apart by everybody.
Yeah, and it gets blown up. And thumbs down guy is just all over it.
Thumbs down guy is all over it. Yeah, that's correct.
7 thumbs downs.
I don't even consider a thumbs down a hater. It could just be not what they were looking for.
Oh no, there's some that are just straight up haters. Like you
I
said,
don't-
the guy that thumbs down and it's been up for 2 minutes, and you're like, you didn't even see it. You didn't even look at it. You just saw that it came up.
Right.
You
but
follow me just to give me the thumbs down.
like I said, that's why we're in America. And
Seriously.
you can have it. You don't have to freaking like it. I mean, I don't call someone who disagrees or doesn't like what I do a hater. Like,
Right.
oh, Pangrac, like just freaking stick to your talking. Quit trying to fish. Quit trying to pretend you're fishing. All that stuff. I mean, that's not a hater. That's just
thumbs down guy.
Yeah.
Thumbs down guy.
But
Get
dude,
some
that
t-shirts
that
made.
stuff doesn't bother me at all or anything.
What?
I mean,
What? Comments don't bother you?
not.
You've calloused?
No, I'm not like that. I mean, yeah, I like to have the feedback, but I mean, it's constructive feedback. So I've had feedback that I cut guests off during interviews in the past.
I don't
Multiple
think
people have said
he's
that.
soft, dude. I mean, he's given me lectures before about, hey, this is just what it is.
Yeah. He's calloused.
But no,
I
listen.
think he is.
Yeah,
I think he is.
There's been comments, hey, I cut guests off. So I go back, I listen to shows, I'm like, yeah, I cut that guy off. Yeah, that was bad. So I'd work on it. So the next couple
Look,
shows, I'm trying
I do
to
know
think, don't
this.
cut 'em
I've
off.
watched other social medias and YouTube channels and comments and things that have gone on, and there are numerous people out there that have large followings that it is habitual that they make comments with people who disagree with them, and they get into a conversation, and then they delete those conversations.
Yeah.
Like they have conversations that I would never have.
Yeah.
I mean, I can honestly say I don't know that I have ever deleted a comment to or fro on anything of mine. If I have, it was because somebody just left something blatantly where they were lost and thought I was somebody I wasn't.
Yeah, vulgarity is the main reason we do it, right, Mark?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that when you cross the line, start throwing out,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
No, I'm
words
totally-
and
yep.
stuff, then
Yep.
yeah, it gets
No.
that stuff gets.
I got 4 little ones.
gone.
I understand
That's
completely.
a good. I get so annoyed with the click on the link below or click on the link right here. Guys, there's no link anywhere. You
Yeah.
see that on the video?
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah.
All right, look at that comment. Can you read that one? I agree with Brad on this one. Frustrating putting hours of editing in for a video.
See, here's
to be
Hellabass.
thumb-downs.
Hellabass is like Thumbbass is just as thumbs down. The guy is as good because it is
better than
engagement. Yeah, for the algorithm. See, I didn't even think about that, but
That's
he's probably
Rich
right.
Landry.
He's absolutely
We
right.
need to send him a pack of BFEs. He could do some damage with them up in Minnesota.
Yeah. Hellabass is a hell of a fan. He is. He's great.
Speaking of which, the BFEs. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? We haven't even mentioned that.
BFE is out.
Yeah.
It is rolling and selling. All I've heard is good numbers on
Yeah.
it. Like everybody's really interested, and
Hopefully the BTL color will be out soon.
that's what I'm wanting
It's
to
a
see.
triple
too.
laminate.
Yeah.
Is the way that Coach described it. So it takes a little bit more time, but
We just caught so many fish on them, man. Like we know they're gonna catch them. Like it's legit bait.
was there
It's
any
going
at any
to
point
get
during
bit.
the process? I mean, that has to be.
That was always my biggest concern. Was like, look, I know that it'll do all these things, but my biggest concern is at the end of the day when this whole thing's over, I want it to catch fish. Like I want it to get bit. Like I wanted a bait that I could put in my box and take coast to coast. And I was very concerned about that. You can ask Mark. He was with me in a couple of the very preliminary testings of the prototype.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I need this thing to get bit. And I would hand him other baits that were different that I knew would get bit, that I'd fished with in the past, be like, flip this behind me. I mean, I was concerned about it. I wanted to make sure that
I
thing
saw
was-
you flip in your video on the river. You're flipping it on the river.
Yes.
You caught some of your fish on
Absolutely. I caught every fish that I weighed on the first day. Second day, I went to a different bait.
Mhm.
I caught them on 2 different baits on the second day. Now, when I say I caught them, I only caught 3 fish each
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah, and I caught.
I don't know if we
I
call that
caught.
catching or not.
We
Something's
caught the
catching.
same amount of fish. We caught 6 fish total.
Jesus.
I caught 4 and then 2, but all of mine were on the BFE. But I flipped the little 4-inch creature a little bit. I flipped the 3.5-inch tour tube a little bit, but I just kept going back to that.
I took it down to Rayburn. I went to Rayburn and fished a team tournament. I saw one of the guys there that asked earlier if we'd caught them there. We did not catch them there. We did not catch them. But we had one day of practice down at Rayburn, and I spent most of my day flipping grass with a punch skirt, a punch rig, so a bigger deal with the BFE. And I had a few bites with it there too. Flipping, it was not as exciting because I didn't have a hook on it, so I didn't get to lean. I had one bite that I'd like to have seen. And of course, tournament day, you don't get bit on it. But
Oh, that's the one they posted. Big Bite posted it. You posted it on the punch skirt.
I
I was
posted it.
wondering I was wondering where the hook was on that. That explains a lot. I was like,
there was no
"Dang, that's
hook because I had it on the screw
Yeah.
lock because I was about to go practice with it the next day.
Yeah. Biggest thing I've found on it is if you're flipping it with the straight shank, you want that hook pocket on top of the bait, and you can actually put that 4 or 5/0 straight shank all the way through the plastic to where it is sticking out through that hook slot. Don't go the opposite way where the hook is coming out through the rings. Put that straight shank through the hook slot because it's a mid-grade plastic. It's supposed to be a mid-grade plastic. It's not supposed to be super, super soft. You're supposed to be able to punch with it, flip with it, get multiple fish out of it.
That's right.
So you put that straight shank completely through the bait,
That's right.
through that little slot right there. You'll see it. Then push it back and down a couple times, and then leave the point sticking out.
Yep.
You can run your hand across it. You can flip it in grass. You can flip it around wood. You will not get snagged. But then when you lean in the fish, if you look at my Arkansas River stuff, I mean, I'm
You
not
tell
like
me you're 100% on ratio.
yeah, I'm not slacklining those things. I'm more or less leaning into them, aggressively leaning into them because I have the hook is completely all the way through the plastic. I don't have to rip through any plastic to get that hook. I think that's going to be the biggest thing is educating people on how to rig that bait for the 100% hookup ratio. Not 100% obviously, but for the higher hookup ratio. Because you can't do that with the bait with the concave in the middle because the hook is just, that hook point's going to get stuck on something, but that little slot is the deal.
Yep. Good
That's
stuff.
why it's there. It's there for the straight shank. That's why it's in it. Anthony was asking about the tail. I've had a lot of questions about this, splitting the tail. Dude, have I split them? You bet I have. I mean, all you got to do is take a pair of scissors and split it if you want it split. and it does make it look different. We had it in the pool in different water situations. I haven't noticed that it gets any more bites, but I have split the tail on some.
All right, very nice. Bradley, what else you got going on, man?
I'm getting on a plane Monday and flying so a week from today, and we're flying to, going to meet Upshaw and Castledine, and we are going to the Florida Keys to
very nice.
SMC house in the new boat, and we are going to go offshore fishing with Scott Martin.
That's very cool.
Yep.
Wow.
So we're going to do that for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll come back from that, and by that time we will know if we are headed to New York or not for Oneida.
David Campbell said I'm going to try the BFE on Lake Decatur this Saturday when we have our club tournament. If he's talking about Lake Decatur in Illinois the week after 4th of July, if you don't catch any on it, it's not because the BFE doesn't work. It's because you're on Lake Decatur in the middle of July, David. Just throwing that out there as a disclaimer.
All right, want to thank Brad for taking time out to be in studio. Always just a great bit of conversation when Bradley's here. So thank you, Brad. Tomorrow, like I said, the show's going to be TBA. We'll see what happens today and then go from there. Hopefully we get an announcement on what's going down. If not, Matt and I will fill in, and I will get somebody lined up as a guest. And then Wednesday, the Sunline Hotline show. So that's it, Bradley. Thank you so much. Matt, what are you doing? More crappie fishing?
No, I have no idea what I'm doing.
All right. Crappie in the summertime.
We got all sorts of possibilities for guests because this is stage 5, and then they do the Red Crest. Where's Red Crest? Red Crest is on Grand Lake. Who's right around that line, the cutoff line? James Elam, Edwin Evers, Mike McClellan, Jason Christie, all above or below. Any of them catch it, they're in. Any of them don't catch it, and they're out.
Yeah.
On Grand Lake.
Good point. All right, that's it, everybody. We are out of here.